how do you approach that? Somebody comes to you and they need some pastoring, they need some refining, they need some, whatever. Like, how do you approach that? Maybe it is the presence, like you keep talking about. What is your?
How I approach people that have dreams.
Yeah.
I'm first thing that came to my spirit is submission. I had to go through a lot of submission this year for a whole year of my dreams the Lord showed me. And so pastoring through that is, if God has given you a dream, he'll fight for it. So a lot of times I this is what I did. Like, I had a dream, a youth network God showed me. And right away, I'm a doer. So I was like, let's do whatever I need to get done. And I came and brought it to my leadership and submitted it to them. And actually, they gave me a green light to go. Like, I started in 2020. And it had been like 3 years of praying into it even before that. So I thought, oh, it's long enough. And I came and gave it in the beginning of the year. My oversight said, yeah, you can run with it. So we started in July. We did half a year, 6 months. And then in January, they asked me to put it down. And I was like frustrated. I was like, what the heck, Lord? Like, you said it started in 2020 specifically, established 2020. Because of that, because in January that's put it down, I right away, like, because of all the lessons I was learning at Mercy Culture, which is why I'm saying this, I want to teach them. I was taught submission to that. If you can give it to the Lord, and if your leadership's asking you to put it down for a season, I need a blessing of that at the end. Like, I knew that at my church, I've seen the Lord's hand on our church and being fruitful. But there's been a lot of submission for a lot of things that, even like my senior pastor, Pastor Heather, she submitted one thing for like 10 years. And so right away, like, I believe each of us have our giftings and our dreams. It's just in timing and submission. And so I submitted it. That caused my senior pastor, he told me in a meeting, he was like, when you did that, that drawed my favor towards you. He said, there's something you do when you submit, it actually draws the favor of God towards you. It's like kingdom principles that, like, no one can even move. So Pastor Lennon actually said that in his office. He said, the moment you did that, it caused my favor towards you. And that's why he brought me into his office 6 months later to have an interview to go to Orlando. And so it's actually crazy. I was like, Lord, wait. So, like, I wasn't crazy. I actually honored you, started in 2020, still honored you with obedience of my leadership telling me to put it down. Then boom, I'm going now. And so I would say submission is huge. How I want to lead in that place. Like, a lot of people at our church, we come and oversights. I was also actually telling this to someone else today, and I want to say, look, I have a dream to do this. You give it to the Lord, but you also practically you give it to your oversight, and you say, what do you think of this? They'll either tell you in a healthy church, they'll say, all right, well, let's pray into it, and then hopefully that's what they say, like, all right, put this down for 6 months, put this down for a year. I think a year is actually very healthy. From what I've seen, a lot of wise people I look up to, a lot of things that they want to do, if their own things the Lord showed them their dreams, it's always like a year of like, let's just pray on this for a year. Years go by like that. From what I've been watching, as we get older, chases time parallel theory of time going really fast. So I realized like a year goes by quick. So submission, bro, would be like, look, guys, if you guys want to be the influencers you are, which I believe you're called to be, testing of submission is going to be the first step, because if God can trust you to submit now, you're going to be blessed and influence in that. And so that's number one. And then presence again, like, I believe when everything changes in the presence of God. So if you can teach creatives how to get into the presence to hear the voice of God, he'll probably tell them, I want you to submit, because it's like, it's biblical principles. Like the Lord told Abraham to give up his Isaac. That was submission. Like the Lord told me he was going to give him his Nate. He told Abraham, I'm going to give you the nations, right? He told him to sacrifice his only son. So it was submission, even though he told him he was going to do all of this. And one of these guys at our church spoke on this. So the Lord told him to start a church in Washington. He was doing it for like 2 years. Pastor Lannon asked him to put it down for a year to move to our ministry leadership school and do that. And this guy like just started a whole church. He had people he was responsible for. People that like moved there for him. And he shut it all down because Pastor Lannon asked him to. The Lord spoke to him and said, go to SLS and serve there and be a student there. And he asked the Lord when he got here a couple of months later, like, why did you tell me to start it? And still you took it away. And the Lord told him, because I want you to bring a worthy sacrifice to me. I wanted you to bring your Isaac. And that's what the Lord told me like this year. G14 was a worthy sacrifice. And so submission is going to be like a huge thing. It's crazy. I guess as young as I sound, like saying it, as young as I am, I just want to teach people like there's kingdom principles that I've watched through a lot of leadership in my church that I've seen them, and they've been doing everything you see at Mercy Culture has been doing has not just been a new thing, it's been a submitted thing. These pastors have been doing things behind the scenes for the last 15, 20 years that the Lord is honoring now. And so where people are coming to Mercy and they're like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. It's been a lifestyle of obedience and submission that God has blessed Pastor Len and Heather with now. So yeah. Sorry, that was like a loaded question again.
No, that was good.
No, it's good.
Yeah.
And it gave me a thought of like, do you think